Hi and welcome to the Pursuit of Healthiness podcast. I'm your host, Vinanda van Delft. I'm a health and mindset coach, spaghetti and ice cream lover, travel junk, and a cat mom. Today's guest is Heather. Heather owned a successful global and coaching consultancy for 24 years. It hasn't been easy or fulfilling, and she even felt small, alone, and like an imposter. That's when she discovered Cabaret and the amazing tools this arena had to offer, and it changed everything. She combines all her skill, knowledge, and experiences in personal, work, and stage life to co-create Confidence Through Cabaret. Hello and welcome to my podcast. How are you today?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so well today, thank you.
Oh, that's great. I'm really looking forward to this conversation because we've been talking before, but now I can actually interview you and share your story. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. So like I said, I already know a bit about you. So yeah, I'll let you tell your story about where you are, how you came there, and what has happened.
Okay, amazing, thank you. So, so I have just started a business, which is in the very early stages. So we're kind of just in a Facebook community right now and getting our website launched, but it's picking up pace really quickly. And I kind of wanted to start with the end because that's the really exciting part.
Yeah.
So, um, so all of the business that we've started, it kind of comes together from our passions. So I'm working with a business partner. So our passions and our life experience and business backgrounds. So the whole kind of piece is about helping people build confidence. And
Amazing.
I have had a corporate training company for 24 years, and I worked in corporate life before that for quite a while. I don't want to say too long, but too many years, because then it'll be obvious how old I am. But so I've worked in business. You know, my whole working life has been in training, and my passion in business is about interpersonal skills, mindset, self-awareness, how we connect with people, either in teams or with clients, those kind of things. So I've always been about, people to people and interpersonal skills. And when the pandemic hit, that all the conferences stopped. And so it was a problem for me. So I spent some time healing, because I had a lot of things that I needed to heal from that I hadn't let myself do because I kept myself very busy. And then we started Confidence Through Cabaret, which is exciting. And I guess today I wanted to share my personal story as well, because a lot of how I've come to where I am today is not just through all the things that I've learned and experiences I've had in business,
Yeah.
but also in personal life. And like I said to you, I kept myself busy, so I didn't deal with a lot of those things that happened. When I was in my 20s, I was married, and I was in an abusive relationship, which started very quickly, the day after honeymoon, actually.
Really?
Um,
So the honeymoon phase was like none.
yeah, there was no honeymoon phase. There was like a
Yeah.
little honeymoon holiday, and then it started, and my husband became a very different person.
So
And
you never noticed anything different before. It was just after the honeymoon like that.
yeah, it was almost as if, and actually, if I'm honest, I felt it the day after we got married. It was almost as if I felt captured. Um, just at first, just kind of mentally and emotionally, and I did suffer physical abuse, but I also suffered a lot of intimidating behavior. So where there wasn't physical abuse, but there was kind of, the intimidation to be small,
Yeah.
and a lot of emotional abuse as well. And it took me quite a few years. It took me 11 years to get out of that situation.
Wow.
So that the whole time wasn't with us together. A lot of that time was in just trying to get a divorce, because even in the separated and divorce stage, I went through a lot of intimidation and kind of was afraid to get a divorce, and thought maybe I'll just stay legally married and,
Yeah.
hide. And I was quite lucky in some ways that the internet wasn't a big thing, so it was easier for me to hide.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Now you can find everybody like that.
absolutely, absolutely. And for many years, while the internet was building, um, I used different names and stayed, and I didn't, and that was quite a difficult thing, because with my clients, I could use my business name, and I could, have my website as Attitudes Training, and that was fine, but I just needed to keep my name off of everything, for a while. And when I got through that situation, then I had a new relationship, which was wonderful. And
That's
like,
great.
great. He had 2 children. We had 2 children together, and so we raised them, and that was fabulous. He was emotionally abusive, which again I didn't
Mm.
notice. So a lot of gaslighting, a lot of everybody thinks this about you, those kind of things, to make you question. Or I would say something, and he would say, you didn't tell me that. And I would think, I'm sure I did. Am I going crazy? And I really, for a long time, thought I have memory problems, or mental problems of some sort. And I didn't notice it because I didn't deal with the first marital. I just stuffed it all down, got really busy, got into relationship and children and all of that, and then
Yeah.
stuffed it all down. And I didn't notice it as a pattern happening again. And I'm an empath by nature, so there are some behaviors that I'm now aware of, that I need to just guard against, about, kind of not always needing to save everybody, which
Yeah.
is what I was doing in my second marriage. And so we raised children, and I made it through breast cancer, which I just got the all clear from 2 weeks ago, which is
Oh,
exciting.
that is really
Um,
congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. And then he became sick. He had early onset of Alzheimer's in his 40s, which took a long time to get diagnosed. And then that started to explain some of the behaviors. So actually, I should probably backtrack and say, some of the kind of a more emotional abusive stuff would have been because he wasn't well, and
Yeah.
his dementia was progressing, but we didn't know that. And I then became a full-time carer. I had at that point 3 businesses, so I shrunk them all down to being a self-employed sole trader, and got rid of all the big stuff. Stopped traveling all over, and then I hit the stage of empty nest, and all the children left.
Yeah.
And so I was a full-time carer, and still trying to maintain my business clients, connections that I'd kept. And then he died last year, which was a shock, but a relief, if I'm honest. And I
Yeah.
say that for him as well, because I know that he did, we talked about it early on, he didn't want to live like that. So I, again, had put myself in a position, where I was trapped, because I couldn't leave, because I wouldn't leave somebody who wasn't well, because there
Yeah.
was nobody else for him to look after. He was an only child, and his parents had died. And so I was never going to leave him to my children to look after.
Yeah.
So I kept myself in that situation again. And I've noticed these patterns of where I just kind of put myself in a situation, and then I am committed, so I don't go, and I don't move on.
Yeah.
Um,
You're like a really, really loyal.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I sort of think, I'm an eternal optimist. So I always, kind of think, well, there must be some reason for that. And they're trying, and all of these things. So I wanted to start by telling you about the Confidence Through Cabaret new business, because I'm so excited that I now have something that's mine, that's
Yeah.
for me. And my children have left. Well, one of them's here because of, well,
With
COVID. um, but my children have effectively grown up, and I hit this stage last year where I thought, I'm starting over, like anybody who would leave university. Like, what am I going to be?
Yeah.
I didn't have my, you know, my big kind of business clients, and then COVID, and I was also in a car accident. My late husband left me in a lot of debt, and you know,
Oh,
like loads and loads, yeah, which I didn't know about. So all of that, I'm uncovering all of that. I had to move house. I had a car accident. I couldn't work because I'd injured my back. So lots of things happened, and then somehow out of COVID, I just kind of went, I know what I need to do. I need to be enabling others to find their journey, whether that's in their personal life or whether that's in their work life or even in their stage life. Because that's my favorite part of the story.
yeah.
About 3 years ago, I decided I was very small. And even though I was doing these big conferences and I was, you know, in the front of the room, no problem running it, I didn't have my own voice,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know who I was. And so I decided to join cabaret classes, which
Oh,
scared me. Oh,
it's scary, but it is fun.
yeah. Well, I wanted to cry. And when I came back to my second class, everybody said, "Oh, we're surprised you came back."
But
Okay.
why did you decide it? I mean, you when you feel small and when you feel like you don't know who you are, why would you choose something like that? Like I know from personal experience, I'm actually really, really shy. But when I was on the stage, I was someone else. So I think I know maybe you experience the same, but you don't know that until you actually do it. So why did you decide it like, oh, I'm just going to try this?
Well, it's funny because I'm not shy by nature. I'm usually the loudest person in a room, or I'm usually, I know everybody by the time I've left somewhere. Um, but I I kind of made these personas. Like I made a character that was, I was a wife, and I made a character that where I was a mother, and I made a character where I was a businesswoman, and I made all these little characters, and I played them. And so when everything leveled and my children had left home and my business was done, and my husband had passed, I was like, I'm this is a leveler. I don't know what who I am or what I do, like me. Um, and I woke up one day, and I remember I was visiting my parents in Canada, and I woke up, and I said, I need to do burlesque, and I don't know why. It was
Just
just
a
this little
feeling.
voice. Just, yeah, I didn't even know what burlesque was. And I'm thinking, I'm a middle-aged grown-up woman. What am I doing? And I told my friend, and she said, "You're crazy. You can't do that." Anyway, I Googled it. There happened to be the week after I got back, there happened to be a taster session, and I went to it, and I hated it.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, the reason I um, don't like it is because I'm uncomfortable and I'm afraid. And there's nothing to be afraid of because it's my hand on my arm, you know, move.
Yeah.
It's me moving my arms or whatever, and so it's not rational for me to be afraid. And
No.
sometimes you have to lean into that. Sometimes you have to go, okay, I'm afraid of what this feels like, and that intrigued me. And I thought I'm going to lean into that and just see where that goes because there's nothing here that's threatening except my
Yeah.
feelings.
Yeah.
And it brought everything out. It was incredible because I just kept it so tight in my body from all these things.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
confronting. It's confronting to be with yourself, actually.
it is. It's entirely about you. It's not even well, I guess that the other thing that I discovered is that I needed to be okay with people not being okay with me,
Okay.
because I wasn't okay with people not being okay with me.
You
I
wanted
needed
everybody to like you.
Everybody had to like me. Everybody had to appreciate the work that I was doing or the whatever it was. And I had to be okay with me because I'm okay with me, not because other people tell me I'm okay.
Yeah.
So I'm very externally referenced, and I had to, and COVID kept, because it kept me inside, which is my nightmare. It meant that I had to confront, like I had to be with me, which
Yeah.
was cool and very uncomfortable. And I think when we become adults, we get really used to not being uncomfortable, and we avoid it very often.
Yeah, I think there's a problem with a lot of people this year because COVID forced them to stay home and to be with themselves, while a lot of people are trying to avoid it and shut their feelings down. But now you don't have a choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I shut my feelings down in lots of ways. I shut my feelings down through, doing lots of exercise. I shut my feelings down through lots of hobbies, being busy with children and all kinds of other things, socially always busy. And as you say, then when that shuts down, I was then on Zoom every night, like I needed to connect. And I think when we're adults, just learning to feel the feelings and for that to be okay, and for us to learn to self-soothe, which we talk about when we have babies. The baby's supposed to learn to self-soothe and fall asleep, or be okay if there's nothing threatening. And as adults, we often don't. And then we have a glass of wine when we get home, or or in my case, my addiction to people. We're always kind of self-soothing. And I think sometimes we just need to feel the feelings.
Yeah.
And that's okay, and not judge them. That's a huge part of the mindfulness practice is just noticing.
Yeah,
and not
absolutely.
and not putting anything. And I know you're a huge advocate of this. Yeah, but it's a process. And I think if we going back to my first marriage, there are things still that in the quiet come up that I didn't know I even remembered. Little things where I'll think, there was that one afternoon and this happened, and how do I deal with it? And I'm discovering that I just need to feel it and let it go. And there's so much peace in that.
Yeah, instead of pushing it away or trying to ignore it, it's okay to feel whatever you need to feel, even if you're angry or upset with someone, even though it doesn't make sense to you at the point why you are upset with someone. You have to allow yourself to feel whatever you have to feel. Say thank you to your body for protecting you in any way, because emotions are often to protect yourself, especially fear or anger or something like that. But then you have to let it go. You have to go through it, but let it go. Not stick with it, because then you feel depressed or you feel out of control. But when you let it go, and when you are going through those emotions, and when you allow yourself to sit with your emotions, that's actually when you take control over your emotions, and that's when you can take control over your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think for a long time, when I left my first marriage, and when I did manage to, I was fortunate because I was an expat in the Middle East by then, and I was in a company house that was for my contract, so I was able to stay where I was, and he had to leave the country, which was very helpful for me, and I just kind of like buried everything, and then just got on with things. And I kept saying, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm not feeling anything. Yeah, but I wasn't feeling anything was the problem.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, and I've learned this in dancing as well. Sometimes when you feel that kind of the stretch, if you're doing a stretch class, or the kind of if you're doing a workout, you feel that the muscle exertion. And you think, oh, this is uncomfortable. That's the moment it's working.
Yeah.
That's the same kind of thing with our feelings, is just that's the moment that we can let them go. I spent a long time feeling like I want revenge, and then you can't, if there's no forgiveness, if there's no letting that go, then you just store it.
Yeah. And how did you manage to let it go? How did you dealt with your feelings?
Yeah, I there's a model, and it's talked about in lots of sources, but I use it a lot in business, and it's probably best described in Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's the first habit, which is about be proactive, and I use that a lot in business. And again, this is where I sort of think all of this is transferable, but this is one that I have lived a lot of my adult life with, is that circle of influence, and trying to say, okay, there's all these things happening, and sometimes there are a lot of stuff happening. I mean, because there's just so many events where things got a little out of hand and out of control.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, there's all this control, these things that are out of our control. And and I hit this when I was hit with COVID as well. I felt like I had no control. Everything's coming in, these things are happening to me. I had my car accident, and I had my house move that I didn't want, and I had all my finances to sort out, and my business was shut down, and COVID, and all these things. And it's really easy to go, oh, I'm shrinking again, because my circle of influence is tiny.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest model. That was my guide, was just to go, okay, but in my tiny world of influence, what can I do?
Yeah.
So, and it's really easy to go, yeah, but I can't. Yeah, but I can't. And it's like, yeah, but what can I do? And that's the moment that there's just a pivot,
Yeah.
That's the moment when you go, what I can do is deal with the feelings that are coming up. What I can do is look after my body. What I can do, and just little things. And what starts to happen is that little circle just starts to expand. And when you're in that what I can do mode, you really take back control. Your proactivity starts to push those things. And then, and this was the bit that I struggled with the most, what you can't control, you have to let it go.
Just let go. Yeah.
Yeah. So control the controllables is my mantra.
Yeah, but it truly is. Like, you can feel the victim or play the victim of everything that is happening to you, but you don't have control over that. But the thing you can control is how you react to it, how you feel about it, what your next step is going to be. Like, you can choose to feel miserable, or you can choose to take action. I mean, a lot of bad situations happen to every single person every single day. And I'm not saying because someone has it worse than you that your situation, it doesn't matter, but you can control how to respond to how you can respond to that. It's I had something in my head that I wanted to say about this, but I forgot it. But that's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, perfect. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that that kind of whole model is just about, I guess it fits in with, gratitude practice of, what I do have. It fits in with, what's possible and working towards goals. And, we've got people in our community and we've got people who are going through a lot of very big identity changes, and want to grow their confidence. But we've also got people who just struggle to do very simple things, to interact with people on Zoom, for example, and they know what they're doing, they're subject matter experts, but just even to be heard can be hard.
Yeah.
And so finding your voice is something you can control. You might not find it in the same place as somebody else does, but finding your way of expressing, finding your way of being heard is important. Finding a way of taking up space and owning it, especially I mean, I've never been a man, so I don't, but I would imagine men experience this as well, but women get very apologetic. And I see this a lot in business, when we used to go to offices, where men would come into a conference and say, sorry, can I just have a word with so-and-so? Maybe they would say sorry, but they would say, can I just have a word with so-and-so? And then they would, have a chat and leave. Women would always come in and say, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry to disturb you. I hope it's okay, but would you? And it's like a lot of apology. I mean, that's just an example. That's not always the case, but there's a lot of apologetic behavior that women use. And it's very easy to get into that, apologizing who we are. And I'm not saying it's only women, but I think women, particularly as we get older, start to take less and less and less space. Sometimes because we take on so many different roles, and then we lose sight of ourselves, and we don't invest in ourselves, and we don't look after ourselves. And it's that,
Exactly.
everybody talks about this. You put your own oxygen mask on the plane before you help someone else,
Yeah, but I think that's it. I mean, women are from nature or already really caregivers, so they are looking after other people instead of themselves, and that's why we are when, like, as an example that you said, like, women are more apologetic, like, oh, I'm sorry, can I interrupt, or oh, I'm so sorry I did this, or I'm so sorry, always apologizing for themselves. And that's because we are always looking out for other people, but also because we are not looking out for ourselves. Like, if we even try to do it, like if we are standing, if we take up the space, then there's always someone that is saying, like, you need to shut up, or go away, and you don't belong here, or something like that. And that's bringing us down again.
Yes.
But I believe if you focus on yourself, if you know your worth, if you are practicing self-love, if you know that you matter, then you wouldn't listen to those people. Then you're still here, like, no, I'm here, I have to say something. You are much more confident. And I think that's a thing that we as women, we need to practice a lot more. We
Yeah.
have to fight those guys out there. Not just the
Yeah.
guys, but usually it is the guy who is diminishing the woman. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because you would, if you met me in a business environment, so because I work with, usually large corporate clients, if you met me in that environment, you'd say I'm not one of those people that apologizes.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of those people that feels small. And I'm not one of those people that doesn't feel heard. If you met me, you would say, actually, you're a little bit scary because you say what you think. And you're a little bit scary because you take up a lot of space. And what's interesting was I never felt that inner, and this comes back to, lots of things in childhood, I think, are part of our programming. And I think that informed the marriage that I got into, because I thought it was all supposed to be fun, and that was kind of it. But I think inside I felt very unseen.
Yeah.
And so when you kind of see that external, that's a persona.
Yeah.
And that works in some circumstances, like in corporate world, that works in social life. But that's why I loved the cabaret world, because I thought, oh, it's scary here, this is a different place. And that's why we started Confidence Through Cabaret, because it was the cabaret bit that was kind of, there are a lot of tools. And I know you've done lots of stage work as well.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of tools that are transferable.
Yeah.
Do you know, there are a lot of tools that are saying, okay, I'm about to do something. I'm about to walk into a party, or I'm about to walk onto a stage, and I'm going to do it. Do you know? And I'm going to feel into it, and I'm going to enter confidently and unapologetically.
Yeah.
But I think for me, that was a beautiful persona that I'd created, and inside I felt very unseen, and I had a genuine fear. And some of it was from my second husband, who liked to play lots of emotional games, and, like we've said, also had from dementia, was informing some of that later on. But I think he didn't like who he was, and so he liked me to feel small, because then he wouldn't feel smaller, if you know what I mean. So but I think with my first husband, he liked me to feel small, like as if I couldn't leave. And both of those partners chose to be to need somebody. You don't be with somebody because you need them. They wanted me to need them to stay in my life, and that's why I would want them, rather than I want you, therefore I need you. It was the other way around. And I think that informed, although I had this big life and I traveled all over the world and I did all these things, but I never felt seen, because I had this deep down fear that if somebody really knew me, then they wouldn't like me.
You wouldn't be good enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's a process that every once in a while things come up and I think, oh, I didn't know I remembered that. It's not always easy. It's a daily thing of kind of, oh, I don't like that. Some of the things are about me and I think I don't like that about me. I need to look at that and look at where that's coming from, and then resolve it. And then there's other things when I think, no, I am good enough, I should take up space, I deserve to be heard as I am. And if you don't like it, well, you don't have to like it.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And is that how the cabaret has helped you to become that person, or is it something that you now put on another persona, or is it really you?
No, cabaret is another persona, but lots of personas in any act. But what it has made me aware of is creating those personas.
So because you are aware of that, you know who you are.
And that's made me go, okay, but hold on, what do I think? Not what do I think other people want me to think, I even had to learn, when I left my first marriage, I even had to learn, like, what do I like to eat? Those kind of very simple questions that I didn't know. And I can remember being in the supermarket one time and thinking, I don't know. I've never chosen. I don't know what to choose. I just choose what I'm supposed to choose. It was very strange going, I don't know what my voice says anymore. And I think, one of the biggest lessons is learning to just go back to being with yourself and being okay with that and controlling the controllables.
Yeah. So how is cabaret? Because that's your new business now. You've started that. How is that helping other people? How is it working? Like if someone would hire you for their business, like, is it all about being staged and doing something else, or having that improv or something? Like how does it work? Because I can imagine that a lot of people who are listening now are thinking about cabaret like, oh, it's only humor. Oh, you're just laughing. And how does that work in combination with a job, with a business?
Yeah. So, I mean, right now, they'd be welcome to join the Facebook community, because we just put lots of content in there, and everybody's supportive and uplifting. And it's not one of those communities where everybody's trying to sell to each other. It's just everybody's saying, yes, you're amazing, which is, we all need those. But it isn't really about cabaret. And in fact, we have several people in the community who say, I don't even know what cabaret is, or I've had to look it up. I didn't know, because you don't need any experience. But what we try and do is we do challenges in there, and we put posts up, and we put little lives up of kind of things that are playful. And some of those things are difficult, like looking in the mirror and
it is difficult.
That is difficult. And not going, oh, there's smudges on the mirror, and not not getting in your head, but just seeing yourself. We do things like saying your name, just saying, I am Heather, and being and holding space, just for like 30 seconds. And people say, that is so difficult.
We
do things like walking, like just walk in your mirror, walk towards your mirror, and then go back and do it again, but walk while you're taking up space. Put your shoulders back, and and take up space, and walk with meaning, how you want to be seen when you walk into a business meeting, or when you walk into a party, or wherever you're building confidence. Because we're always looking at, some people are actually amazing cabaret performers, but they're working on their personal life. Because they haven't learned to transfer that mindset and skills, and they're working on that. And then other people are very confident in in their personal life, but they struggle with work life. They always feel like they don't know enough, or they're too new, or too young, I have a real thing about age. So because we were just talking about age really briefly, and I didn't tell you this, but I have a thing about age. I've never liked for your age.
No, because that's saying like yeah, like you look good for your age, but otherwise you look horrible or something like that.
Yeah,
Or
like
you're good for the idiot that you are actually are, or something like, it
yeah.
seems, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
No, and I won't tell. Even my children don't know how old I am. Even my parents probably have forgotten how old I am now. Um, because well, they're older now, so they just go with whatever I say, and then they laugh. Um, and it's not because I'm ashamed of it. I'm genuinely not. Um, it's because I don't believe that we should be at a certain stage or a certain achievement by a certain place. And I think a lot of times men do this as well. They put pressure on themselves. I should be here by now.
Yeah.
I'm 40 or I'm 50 and I should have done this and I should be at this point. And what I've learned from, all the different things that have gone on in my life is that my life just keeps getting leveled. And I think a lot of people's does. And they say, okay, we're starting again. you know and I think and we're starting again with hopefully a little bit more wisdom, but also a little bit more damage, that we
Yeah.
need to work with. And I don't subscribe to the for your age, because one of my sons graduated from university 3 years ago, and he's saying, I don't know what I want to do with my life, and I'm going, yeah, me too.
Yeah, but
So
I know so many older people, I know we're talking about age again, but that don't know what they want to do. And I think it's really bad that that idea is planted into our heads when we are in school, like, oh, you need to know what you want to do for the rest of your life by this age. You need to have children by this age. You need to have this or that by this age. And I'm like, no,
no.
no,
No, and
absolutely
a lot of
not.
people don't want to have children. And then so that so I
Exactly.
think when you ask about how does cabaret inform it, there are some people in the community that are working on just their whole identity. you know
Yeah.
um somebody has said that they're not able to have children. They always thought they would be a mom, now they're not, so their whole identity has changed. Some people are working around their own gender orientation. Some people are working around their own career and professions. Some people are just working on, like, they want to start a business and they're just working on the confidence to do a Facebook Live.
Yeah. So
So
you're
there's a
helping all of that. You're helping people with that, with
yeah,
cabaret.
because I love that,
That's
and I think a
amazing.
lot of it is just really about feeling good and celebrating yourself, and I we deserve to do that.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, I 100% agree. Yes. So if people think this is interesting, I want to learn more to be themselves, how can they get in contact with you?
Well, so they can get in contact with me. Uh, the website should be up soon, but we have a few pages up right now, so they can
Yeah.
get in touch with me on the confidencethroughcabaret.com is the domain name.
Yeah.
In Facebook, we're Confidence Through Cabaret, or that's the page, or Confidence Through Cabaret Community. That's the community, and we just love having people in the community, because then we can do challenges, and we've got a challenge coming up in December, which is around, kind of seasonal self-love, and just feeling good through those times, because that's a prime example of when we're supposed to do these things, and we're supposed to feel these ways, and we're supposed to want to put up lights or whatever we're
Yeah.
supposed to do. Um and, and we didn't do that last year in my house, because it was the first year my children didn't have their father, and we just decided, no, we're going to reinvent whatever we want it to be.
Yeah. I
Um,
love
and
that.
so yeah, so we're going to do a
Incredible.
12-day challenge, 12 days of kind of the 12 days of Christmas leading up to Christmas. So that'll start on the 12th of December. So that's in the Confidence Through Cabaret community on Facebook. You'll also find us on Instagram, on Twitter. You'll find us, all the
Everywhere.
social media.
Yeah. Okay, great.
And
I
we've
have,
got videos and stuff. We've got lots of videos and challenges up there. So if like people are joining now and going into the units and going, I found this challenge which we did 2 months ago, and they're saying, I've just started this. It's fun. So you can work at your own
that's
pace through it.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, one more last question. What have you learned from all the experience, from the emotional abuse, physical abuse, your cancer you've mentioned briefly, your businesses? What is something that is like a life lesson that you want to give to the listeners?
I just think you deserve to feel good. There's only one of you, and you absolutely deserve to feel like you're worthy and like you're deserving, and you deserve to feel like you matter.
Yeah. Okay, that's beautiful. And I totally agree with you. We all deserve to be ourselves, to know that we are worthy, no matter how you look like, where you are in your life, no matter your size, the number, your age, your hair color, your skin color, it doesn't matter.
No.
You are worthy. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate our talk, and for you being here and being on the podcast, and that you were willing to share your story. And I think you are an amazing, incredible woman, and I'm really happy that I met you. I say to a lot of people these days, but I really am. Like, it's so incredible that, yeah, I'm really grateful and happy for that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and we're not done. You and me, we're not done.
No, we're not done. No, and maybe this is the first episode of the podcast together for maybe many to come. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think I want to have you back. You have a lot of interesting stories to tell.
Thank you. And I'm always happy to. I in my early life I did a master's in psychology, so I don't practice psychology as a licensed psychologist, but I am always happy to talk and to share. If there's anything that comes up for people who are listening and they think I can relate to that and I don't know what to do with that, I am always happy to do that. And that's not me sort of selling coaching sessions, or it's not about that. It's just about feeling good and feeling worthy.
Yeah.
So I'm there. I'm in the community. Find me, and then we can talk private anytime.
Amazing. Incredible. Thank you so much again, and we will talk soon.
Good. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.